As the strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, enters its 7th month, a court order by the National Industrial Court, however, has ordered the union to go back to work, being a prayer by the federal government in a suit. But the leadership of ASU says it will appeal against the ruling by the National Industrial Court, describing the ruling as unfair, and it filed an appeal for stay of execution of the ruling. The federal government has declared that nobody won or lost in the ruling. The Minister of Labor and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, said the court ruling, however, does not preclude further negotiations between the federal government and ASU, but said the government would order the vice chancellors to reopen the universities in compliance with the order of the court. Assuring all concerned, the minister further said the ruling is in the best interest of the nation, a win-win situation for all, the government, students, lecturers, and indeed all Nigerians. Now, on Nigeria Today, we seek to find out the next step of action as submissions from some strata opine that the order granted against ASU is interlocutory order that will only last within the pendency of the main case between the parties involved, and that if ASU chooses to disobey the said order, the effect is that ASU cannot be heard in the substantive case while still in disobedience. These and more submissions will form the basis for our discussion on the program. I'm Lydia Odidiochi. Welcome once again. With me in the studio to discuss ASU strike and issues arising from the court order is Barrister Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu, an Abuja-based activist, a human rights lawyer, and a legal practitioner. Glad to have you once again on the program.
Thank you for having me. It's always a delight to be here.
While connecting us via Zoom is Dele Ashiru, ASU chairman, University of Lagos. So good to have you join us. We're glad. Thank you.
Thank you for this invitation. It's my pleasure.
All right. Let me start with you. How is ASU looking at the ruling order on it to go back to work? How was it received?
Well, you just told the world that the leadership of ASU had said that that ruling is not in the interest of justice. And consequently, we are going to seek the intervention of a higher court to take a more closer look at the issues in dispute. And we are very confident that that order by Justice Aman will be reviewed by a higher court of competent jurisdiction.
Okay. Now, Barrister, now let's look at the possibility of ASU. Like you said, they want to appeal to a higher court. Now, as a legal practitioner, what will be the implications?
It has a very serious implication. In the law, and a ruling by a court ordinarily should be obeyed. I'm even surprised that ASU members are taking this situation lightly. As a practicing lawyer, if I'm in their shoes, I would have preempted the court. For the government to go to the court, it does not show that sincerity of purpose, because you are negotiating, and now we have what you call the regs. That's the fighting issue. For ASU, anything that will make them to call off the strike, it means destroying the regs. That's the main issue in contention. And for the government to quickly rush to the industrial court, if I should be the lawyer representing ASU, I will know that the government is rather jumping the gun, putting the cart before the horse, knowing fully well that they've tried every other means and they are not getting the desired result. So what they want to do, they want to now put ASU in a position whereby they will now be portrayed as an association that are not law-abiding. Because if a ruling has been given, it is expected of you that you should obey such kind of ruling. So what I should have done, or what I was expecting ASU should have done, is that for the first time that they know that the government has gone to the National Industrial Court, naturally what they will be seeking is for an order that before the main substantive matter will be had, at least parties should go back to, you want to now say you want party to go back to maintain status quo. Status quo in this sense for us will be that they should continue with the strike, while for government having the intention of going to industrial court, they want them to resume. And if they resume, they don't even negotiate the bargaining chip that they ordinarily will rely on as to have equal edge has been taken care of. The rest, for that will mean that as the rest has been destroyed for us. We will not advise us not to comply with the ruling of the court, but they should have been proactive enough to know that this kind of ruling is expected. What they should have done is on that same day they should equally have made, because if you are litigating, the chances is that it goes this way or the other way. So you would have equally made arrangement that, okay, if this ruling is the expectation ordinarily for some judges, what they should have done is that, okay, because the rest, you are trying to protect the rest, the fact in issue that is in contention between both parties without being seen to have taken side. What you should have done is to ask that the matter should be given an accelerated hearing. The issue can be determined on a daily basis. The court can even decide to sit for 24 hours and continue. Yes, it's allowed in our jurisdiction, so that due to the urgency of the matter, the nature of it can be heard and then determined expeditiously. But that has not been done. So for now, you see, the consequences can be there. Before the appeal processes takes time. Before it will be assigned, before the case will be mentioned, they have to go back to the same National Industrial Court. Again. They have to seek for a stay of execution, they file appeal, and for a judge, he will say, I've given you an order. You have not made arrangements to even comply. For me, part of the advice I was giving for ASU, I would have said I needed time to be able to mobilize my members, because the ESCOs are not responsible, will not be able to take a single decision. They need the input of other members. So the government should at least pay them, even if it is half of their salary, so that people will have resources to mobilize. And that
all right, Dele, I know you'd like to react to his submission. Go ahead.
Well, as a union of intellectuals, we do not expect an independent arm of government like the judiciary to act in the manners as described by our learned friend in the studio. We expected that the interest of justice will be served when a matter is before a court. But lawyers often engage in technicalities, and you can see the explanation that has been offered by our learned friend. However, I know that we have a competent lawyer in the person of Barrister Femi Falana, SAN, and I know that he's also vast in technical matters and court processes and behaviors, as has been explained. But you see, the question for me as a socio-political philosopher is that what interest should a law serve? Is it to kowtow to the dictates of a fascist government, or to the interest of justice, irrespective of the technicalities? Look, a government entered into an agreement with a union in the last 12 years. The agreement was successfully renegotiated in 2022 through the principles of collective bargaining. Now, rather than signing the product of that collective bargaining, a government, is rushing to a court, getting a judge they call a vacation judge to deliver what I call a vacation judgment, and then taking a vacation and sending the file back to the registrar of the court to reassign the case to another judge. Is that the expectation in a society where social justice should be the what? So, well, we have listened to the technicalities. Maybe in future, our lawyers will take a cue from that. But in this current circumstance, the law itself provides an avenue, for an appeal for stay of execution. It's not as to that we grant that. An appeal to an appellate court for, a reconsideration of the order given by Justice Salman. I am sure that by the time these processes are served out, our union will meet, the leadership of the union will meet, and on the basis of the advice of the lawyer, will take the best decision in the interest of justice.
Oh, okay, now still staying with you. The labor minister said the court ruling does not preclude further negotiations between your union and the federal government. How would you react to that?
It's just talking from the two sides of the mouth. You took people to court, and you are saying that an order will not stop. Which kind of negotiation will go on under duress? When you have compelled a group of people, you have not paid for 7 months, you have kept their children, their dependents, their families at home for 7 months, and then you are going on TV to say that negotiations will continue, haven't approached the court for an order. I mean, why didn't you conclude the negotiation? And why didn't you, if you knew that, I mean, there are opportunities to still discuss, why did you rush to the court? So he should tell himself that he shouldn't address our union and be telling us that irrespective of the case or whatever, what manner of negotiation?
Well, Barrister, I would like you to talk about this impasse. Yes. You can see from his reaction, it's a really
for those of us in the legal profession, right? We are quite disheartened by the fact that they are trying to bring the judiciary into the disagreement between the I want to say arms or organs of government. This is an executive issue. They are yet to like exhaust all avenue, all opportunities to reconcile their differences. If you go to any court, the moment you file an action, it's the duty and responsibility of the judge of the court to entertain a suit. For the government to have approached the court, for me, most lawyers, we see it as trying to twist ASU, because and from the judgment from the ruling that they've gotten, they can now rely on that to now equally try to they won't be on equal pedestal anymore in the negotiation, and that is why when the labor minister is saying that the avenue for negotiation is still open, for me, and is a private or is a personal opinion, if I'm a judge, I will not allow an organ of government to want to now use the judiciary to score a cheap goal, so to say. I wouldn't have given such kind of a ruling. What I would have ordered is for accelerated hearing of the matter. So if everybody have anything to fight, unlike before that our judicial system that you have to make a lot of oral submission, now all what you need, and mind you, the industrial court is a special court, so many of those technicalities can be waived. Making reference to vacation judge, most times judges are human beings, they equally go on vacation, and a single judge will be or two will be left to handle urgent and very serious matter. If the government have determined that this matter is urgent and they are going to court, fine, ASU should be prepared. You would have seen it ordinarily, a lot of us have seen it coming, and we equally predicted it safely. But on a personal note, if I'm a judge, I wouldn't have given such kind of rule. I would have ordered for accelerated hearing. That is, if I'm not even the substantive, that's the main judge that should adjudicate over such kind of matter. The matter can be adjourned until or the vacation can be cancelled, so that a proper judge can come now and entertain the matter on its merits, rather than having interlocutory rulings to kind of stampede the other party into the box, as in putting them in a tight corner situation.
All right, let's take a break for now and hear what some Nigerians are saying regarding this topic for our discussion. Take a look, and it was put together by Thomas Obetere.
In my opinion, I will suggest ASU should call off the strike and go back, while they look for another means of talking to the government so that they can meet up with their demand. But government should also look out for their demands and try to at least, if not 100% of what they demanded for, they should at least be able to meet up to 80% of their demand.
ASU has the decisions either to go back to work or continue the strike. The court cannot force them to go back to work. So what the government need to do at this point in time, bring back ASU to the table, round table, give them what they want. We have the money. Nigeria has the money.
They are using the court to force ASU to go back to class, and it shouldn't be so. My advice is that they should go back and dialogue.
Using court to force them to go back is not ideal. This problem will continue to remain there. It can never be resolved through the court.
I was not expecting such a judgment. In the light that I was expecting that there should have been a balance, because what the court should have looked at is the balance of conveniences. Who is going to suffer in such a decision that you have made? And two, how are you going to enforce such a judgment? Because any judge that wants to give a judgment must look at how you are going to enforce that judgment. There was an agreement between ASU and the federal government. We should first of all look at that judgment, the agreement first. Is the agreement valid? So if the agreement valid, the departure from ASU or the federal government from that agreement, who is to be blamed? Those are the aspects I think they should have first look into before you go into the aspect of that judgment. Because to me, I think it's just an order that is making vacant. It's just valueless.
Welcome back. This is Nigeria Today, and I'm still with Barrister Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu, an Abuja-based activist and a human rights lawyer, legal practitioner, and Dele Ashiru, ASU Chairman, University of Lagos, joining us via Zoom. Now, I'm sure you listened to what Nigerians had to say. I want you to react to their responses.
Well, it is gratifying. If you look at the preponderance of opinion, they don't seem to agree that it was right for government to, and like our learned colleague, at the studio pointed out, twist, our union to go back to give that kind of an order. It shows desperation. And we have to thank Nigerians for, taking a more deeper look into the issues in contention. What are they? Look, the highest paid professor in Nigeria today earns less than 500,000 naira, back the highest degree, and must have taught for a minimum of 20 years in a university. That is less than $1,000, in a month for a professor. Whereas the guy handling the Twitter of president, just to handle Twitter and do, earns more than a university professor. So if we desire a university system that is globally competitive, like one of those commentators said, it is not to go to court, because what they are doing is destroying the Nigerian university system. You are forcing lecturers to go back to work. You are not mindful of the kind of instruction that such hungry, deprived, disoriented, disgruntled lecturer will give in the class. And that is the sector of the society that is meant to mold minds. So I think that this regime has done more to wound the Nigerian university system than any other government in the history of the country. And I hope that those who made the misadventure of taking our union to court will begin to retrace their steps. It is not too late now. It is not too late to go back to the negotiation table, take the issues one by one, see where we can meet ourselves, and put this crisis to a closure. To continue to behave like a fascist government is neither in the interest of this country nor in the interest of the Nigerian people.
Thank you very much. Now, Barrister, he says it's not too late.
Yeah, I agree with him.
Go ahead.
And I think what the government can do at this moment is to file a notice of they want to discontinue with the court proceedings so that they can now be on equal footing. That the discussion will now show some element of sincerity on the part of government. The case that has been filed can be discontinued. Then ASU will not need to file appeal. ASU members will not in any way be taken for contempt of court. Nobody will be harassed. Then the negotiation can now be free. For government, if ASU wants their salaries to be paid for 7 months, they can start with half. You pay half of the salary. You encourage them. The agreement has been that can be renegotiated. Then if you want to now use the instrumentality of law, it should have been that you have exhausted every avenue, every opportunity that could have resolved the issue have been taken on the table and been trashed. For now, I think going to court or using the instrument of the judiciary is not going to be very healthy to achieve the ultimate result of resolving the lingering ASU strike.
Okay, now let's talk about the issue of the union deciding to disregard the court order. What will be?
I will not, you know, the process is now that I believe is in place is to appeal the decision of the court and for a stay of execution. He that comes to equity must come with clean hands. At least if they should demonstrate their willingness of wanting to comply with the court's ruling, but they should now be able to depose to certain salient facts that will negate them. You have because it's a court ruling, you are putting up measures, but you even lack the capacity of doing that because your members have not eaten. You don't expect them to go to school. If the VCs are calling the members to come, are they making any provisions for them to kickstart academic activities? So these are part of the facts that should be deposed, but they should make attempt to comply, because if you are now asking prayers before a judge and evidently you have come out openly to tell the court that you have disregarded their ruling, it will have their consequences. For them not to be found wanting for that, the union ESCO, I will advise them, they should call an emergency meeting, and they should equally invite a wider house to with the agenda should be complying with the court ruling, while the legal team will now continue with the processes of appealing against the decision of the court. They can still go back to the same court that gave the ruling for a stay of execution pending when the appeal will be determined. But I want to assure you, the processes, our appellate courts, they have enormous cases, and the timing will not be quite.
Now, Dele, before we conclude this program, I would like you to give us your closing remarks or your closing thoughts.
Well, the first is to thank the Learned Council in the studio. We understand quite very well the issues he has raised. Secondly, to say that there's nowhere where our union have said is going to disobey the court ruling, and we've not said that. Our union is a law-abiding union. What we have simply said is that the law gives us an opportunity to appeal, and that's what we are going to do.
Okay.
The summary of what we have done here is to tell government that it is not too late to retrace its steps. Clearly, I'm twisting the union using the instrumentality of the law court to coerce and intimidate our union to go back to class. It's not a lasting solution to the perennial crisis in the Nigerian university system. What needs to be done is to sit down with our union, and like the Learned Council said, as equal partners, not as a conqueror, not as somebody who had gone to court to secure a judgment, and then you are now saying that you are negotiating. I believe that if government is sincere and is negotiating in good faith, this crisis can be put to a closure within the shortest possible time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that, for your sharing your thoughts with us. We really appreciate it. And this is where we end this episode of Nigeria Today. We'd like to appreciate you all for your time and also for honoring us with your presence. Hope to have you again on a better note. Dele Ashiru, ASU Chairman, University of Lagos. Thank you. Thank you so much for having time to join us. And also Barrister Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu, Abuja-based activist, human rights lawyer, and legal practitioner. We appreciate your thoughts. Thank you for having me. And to you, our viewer, we appreciate you for always being a part of our discussion. Remember, Nigeria Today comes up every Monday to Friday by 7:30 p.m. And you can watch this episode and other ones at www.youtube.com/NTNews24hub. I am Lydia Odijochi. Thank you for sharing your time with us. See you again tomorrow, and goodbye.